Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast which we disassemble a film from the Marvel Cinematic Universe into 1 minute segments and then examine it in obsessive and occasionally hilarious detail. I'm Kyle Olson from the Swashbuckling Ladies Debate Society podcast.
Hey, and I'm Rob Cabasco and Kyle.
Yes, sir.
Did you know that in a BBC News article from January of 2018 titled, "Is it true only 10% of Americans have passports?" that it actually was true that at one point in 1994, only 10% of Americans had passports. Now, you say, what does this have to do with anything, right? First of all, a passport's a travel document issued by a country's government for its citizens to identify them in terms of their nationality for the purposes of international travel. This was always something, for those of you who are international listeners, if you're from Europe or you're from certainly the UK, Australia, all those places there, a lot of people have passports because it is the travel between countries is far more readily available. It's just far more a part of life, and people do that. So for
hop on the Euro rail and
absolutely. I mean, Europe, you're hitting countries like states here you would in the United States. So I mean, that's something that people it's normal for people to have passports. In the United States was not a big deal until roughly around 2007. And the main reason for that was that up until then, and this was all as events that happened after September 11th, is that a lot of the rules changed for how Americans could travel. So prior to 2006 or 2007, Americans could go to Canada or Mexico or even some other countries like Jamaica without a passport. You actually just had to go in with some basic proof of your citizenship, like a copy of your birth certificate or something like that, and you'd be able to travel in those areas. 2007 comes, all that changes. Everything now is required for a passport. And now, according to the latest data, roughly about 42% of Americans now hold a passport, which is huge. I mean, again, we're talking about 25 years ago, it was around 10%. Do you have a passport?
I do not have a passport. I was actually thinking about getting one when COVID hit.
Okay.
But for those of you Arizona people, I do have my gold star.
Your gold star. That's a whole, the travel ID.
I got that. And I have a, preferred traveler number.
Oh,
I got
right.
that too.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Cause I thought 2020 would be when I'd be taking a lot of trips. Little did I know.
Little did you know. No, so interesting. I got my passport about 10 years ago. I did some work overseas and in the Middle East, and I got it. And as I said 10 years ago, passports normally for United States citizens expire in 10 years. My passport expired in June. So in about April, May, I went on the State Department website and said, okay, how do I renew my passport? Amusingly enough, 2020, everyone, if you're listening, right? The State Department right now has basically said, hey, if you have an expired passport, don't worry about it. Don't bother us. We're really busy.
Yeah, and you ain't going nowhere.
Well, I mean, exactly. But I mean, they literally even say, chill out. If your passport expired, don't worry about it. We'll deal with it later. Just hold it. Wait until a later time. And unless you have to go somewhere now, and of course, where are you going to go? Some people do. They said, look, then yes, you contact. But seriously, if you're just like, oh, my passport expired, I need a new passport, call us another day. It's not this year, and it's probably not next year.
Yeah.
Just wait. Don't worry about it. Anyway, passports. Interesting topic for this minute.
Yeah, because we might be seeing some travel documents here. Minute 23 of Iron Man 2 from 2010, directed by Mr. Jon Favreau. But we are still in the argument. Well, not really. And now we've transitioned.
Oh no, it's no longer an argument
to the celebration. So yes. we have to finish off the sentence that got cut off by the cruel algorithm. It said, Tony says, I thought there'd be a legal issue, but apparently I'm capable of appointing my own successor. My successor being you. Congratulations. So I gotta say, Gwyneth does such a great job in this of just like selling that like, this is everything I ever wanted. Now it's happening. I don't really know how to react to this. Is this real? Is he messing with me? Like just stunned, just sitting there. And she says, I don't know what to think. And so, of course, Tony, this might as well be the Stark family motto. Embroider it and put it underneath their crest, the coat of arms. Don't think, drink.
Yeah. It is kind of wonderful. She told, and as you said, acting is the reaction.
Yeah.
She just absolutely, she melts, right?
Yeah.
And it is kind of got this little bit of tinge like you said, like, oh, this is everything what I wanted. Mm-hmm. And it's because of you son of a...
Because of you.
Like, I was so angry at you 35 seconds ago.
You still gave away all those paintings.
And now I'm more smitten.
Mm-hmm. And so they clink to her new job. So I was thinking to myself, okay, so Pepper's life is about to change quite dramatically. She has now become the CEO. So I'm like, okay, so like, what's she pulling down? Like, so I started doing some research. And so the average salary of a CEO in 2010, which is when this movie is taking place, was about $9.9 million. Wow. Now, that's average.
Right. So
I'm sure Stark Industries is much higher than average because I said the stock is soaring. So I was like, all right, so what would we compare it to? And so I thought, in honor of you, Rob, Apple. So let's just say that she was that Apple is about at the same level that Stark Industries is at this time. So what did Tim Cook make in 2010 as CEO of Apple?
Oh, boy.
So I found out because it's public value, because it's a public traded company.
Exactly right.
So in 2010, Tim Cook made $800,000 in salary.
In salary. Cash in hand.
Well, no, that's not that cash in hand. That's just salary. So that's
salary, but I mean like cash. Like,
we pay you. As direct deposit. That's what
right. This is what we paid you. However,
so in bonuses,
there we go.
He made $5 million.
And
in stock awards, he made $52 million.
Oh, what?
And also $900,000 in non-equity executive plan compensation and $58,000 in other. Man, I'd just be happy with Tim Cook's other.
Other would be great. Now, look, okay. Now, obviously some of those numbers are outrageous. Yeah. I will say, though, that I do appreciate, and this is within, it's not quite what Steve Jobs did. If Steve Jobs, if I remember correctly, he only took $1 salary per year when he came back to Apple. Now, of course, he made that up in other things, right? Stock options. Yeah. The one thing I do appreciate in that is that when you're far more onto the stock the stock does well, presumably because the business is doing well, presumably because you're a good leader.
Doing your job.
And you're doing your job. That does kind of put your skin in the game, right? On exactly what happens there. So I understand that. 50 million. What was it?
Oh, no. Million? Grand total of $60 million.
$60 million.
Approximately. Of course, then some of it we taxed.
That's only $5 million a month. That's $5 million a month. I mean, you know what?
That's Johnny Depp. Who can live on that?
Do you know, this is something we've said off prior to the show. I was talking to somebody, a friend, about a week or two ago, and we were talking about Apple stock. And there was this crazy, there's all these different things you could find out because if the Apple stock has performed so well over the last 15 to 25 years because of the splits. And obviously Apple has done, fairly well. Whether Apple's your cup of tea or not, that's fine. We totally understand. But there was a story that basically said, if you've ever seen the American movie Forrest Gump starring Tom Hanks, in that movie, there's a kind of an in-joke that Forrest has put some of his ping pong tour money into Apple, into this fruit company, and he's rich, right? Yeah. They said that if you had bought $10,000 of Apple stock on the day that movie came out in 1994, today, if you had not touched it, all dividends going back into the stock, today you would have $5.6 million.
That is a nice return of investment.
I did not buy Apple stock in 1994, nor did I buy in 95 or 90. Good Lord. I mean,
yeah. So anyway. Pepper's
doing fine.
A multi-millionaire.
Pepper's doing fine. She's living a frugal, responsible life.
Yeah. And
Pepper's
obviously,
doing fine.
I think she deserves this money much more than Tim Cook does because he doesn't have to deal with Tony.
Oh, that's true.
He's got to deal with Johnny Ive, but I think that's a whole different...
Well, now Johnny's gone, but he does have to deal with Phil Schiller. Phil Schiller... No. I'm joking.
I don't want to hear about your exercise ring anymore, Phil.
We're totally joking. Nobody... That's not an affront to Phil Schiller. We love you. Love you guys.
That magnificent head of hair.
Well, that's Phil... No, Phil Schiller... Yeah, no, that's Craig. That's Craig
I'm
Federighi.
thinking
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Look at me. Listen to me drop the Apple names like as if I know these guys.
Right.
Jeez. Anyway, so what happens?
Siri's yelling at me about something. What? I got it. Oh, I'm sorry. I got it wrong, Siri. I apologize. That's the end of that scene. Actually, it turns out, though, in an alternate reality, there's another scene here because there is a deleted scene that shows what we have just seen in a slightly different fashion. Technically, I guess we could have talked about it earlier on because it doesn't have anything to do with what's going on here, but I kind of wanted to put it in the break between the two. So we see the scene basically play out the same way that Tony is sitting at his desk and Pepper comes in and they do the sort of walk and talk through the holograms and we see the different holograms going through. Also, Tony is testing out different elements. So like trying different elements that he has. It's interesting to see the difference. So it looks like that Perception had done a finished version of this,
right?
And then there's some like test footage, so it's like this full beautiful Jarvis
periodic table
thing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And it clearly is. It's like PS2 graphics, like the temporary holder stuff that goes through because they have like a simulation Iron Man and he's putting elements together and sending him into the Iron Man suit to see if they would solve the problem that he's trying to solve, which is not die. But it seems like if he's picking like just two elements and putting together and it comes back within, I'd say 10 seconds, 15 seconds.
Right.
Couldn't you just have Jarvis doing this?
I thought exactly the same thing.
Here's the periodic table. Just slam two elements together in the thing and let me know in the morning what you come up with.
Well, I mean, no, and that's what I thought too. I mean, look, it's a beautiful scene. And we've talked about this in a previous minute where you see the periodic table on one of the screens to give you all that understanding of what he's doing. This is the much more extrapolated version of that. But I did totally think, I'm like, you couldn't just tell Jarvis, run the table.
Yeah.
Wake me up when you're done.
Yeah. Start with carbon.
Right. Start with one end and start the other end.
Carbon plus, like you just go down the line.
Yeah. Right? That was odd.
Yeah. So then as he continues on, then and when Tony gets to the end of the sort of the walkway with all the things in the original scene, it just cuts right to them inside of the sort of workshop-y area. Here, the scene continues on a little farther because he actually plays with those things. He has this little ball and he bounces it to Pepper and she catches it and it starts forming over her hand. And it turns out he calls it a nano ball. And so it sort of like forms a thing. And of course she makes the joke like, I don't want to play with your ball.
Yeah. Okay. It really got.
So and obviously it's not finished animation stuff. You can see it sort of cover her hand. Well, this is important for two reasons. One, there's another deleted scene that pays this off. So this was actually setting something up that will see pay off very, very, very late in the movie. And also I can see how this technology would then, we saw a version of this sort of play out in Captain America Civil War. Because if you remember, he doesn't have the suit when Bucky is sort of attacking there. And he does a little quick thing over his hand, and suddenly he has the hand.
Right.
So like they sort of do it more mechanical as he pulls something up over his hand. Then he has like a little mini repulsor in his palm and stuff too. But like it's kind of the same technology. This little ball thing that sort of forms into like a version of the armor. Yeah,
it seemed. Now we'll wait, obviously, to see where the payoff of that would have been.
Sure.
But I mean, the whole dialogue of you could play with my ball. That was a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just for the tone of what they were going for and everything else. And then there is a little bit of more foreshadowing that's embedded in this scene too. Is there's a part where he's looking at a racetrack and he's playing with a particular kind of racing car.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So you can, because Monaco is a coming.
Well, and you can see that, and as we're going to talk about this as we finish up this minute for the next scene, but it shows that Tony's not really doing anything spur of the moment right now.
No. Everything's planned out, and you can see it almost like right here in that scene. The entire rest of the movie is laid out right there. There's suitcase armor, there's Monaco, there's the nanoball. I mean, all of it's right there.
Exactly. What's the name of this deleted scene?
This scene is called Extended Laboratory Scene. You can find it on YouTube. You can, believe it's on the Disney Plus deleted scenes. Actually, there's a lot of the stuff is in the Disney Plus app. So if you're a subscriber already, you can get that. It's also on the Blu-ray and the DVD. And there's a nice steelbook you can get if you can track it down. Cool. So meanwhile, the movie, back to the regular movie. Meanwhile, in Moscow, we see. Oh, remember the fact there's a bad guy in this movie?
Well, okay. And wait, now,
hey, look, Oh my gosh, Mickey Rourke's in Iron Man 2? I totally forgot.
Not we had that has gone a little bit like, wait, what is that guy doing?
Yeah.
I do have a problem. And right now still.
Oh,
so
there's many problems.
No, there's not. Right up until now, I am very happy. I am still very, very happy with this movie. We haven't gotten to my only one sticking part yet, but this could be a 0.5 part. We go right back to the exact same shot of the snowing product store and the Yugo, which we talked about. I really honestly am a little disappointed. It's the exact same shot. They obviously filmed it on the same day. Yep. They didn't even move the camera.
No. And I think that must be, I'm guessing that's Ivan's Yugo. I'm just going to, let's just put that in. I think that's it. That's just his car.
So you're saying that, that might be his Yugo. That might be his motorcycle. I don't know.
No, I'm sure it's the Yugo. He has the Yugo. He's got to carry a lot of gear. You can't carry
it's his father
gear in the saddlebags.
No, it's the Yugo's is his dad's. The motorcycle is his. I don't know.
It's been 6 months. So we see him hanging out in an alley across from apparently like in the alley across from his house. And so he meets a mysterious gentleman who is credited as the 10 Rings agent.
Oh, whoa, what?
That's right. Played by Mr. Ali Khan, who has 6 credits on IMDb. So, not everybody can be a Mickey Rourke and have, that many. But, 6 more credits than I have. So, yes, apparently he is called the 10 Rings agent. He was supposed to be identified on screen by a tattoo on his neck that had the 10 rings on it. And Marvel went, nah. I feel like there's a whole nother thing going on here that I would love to know about, because when Jon Favreau first announced Iron Man at the first San Diego Comic-Con panel, they said, "Who's your bad guy?" And he said, "The Mandarin." And they're like, "Oh," and then as the film developed, they're like, "Oh, actually, we're going to push him to the second movie." Well, we're in the second movie, and I can tell you, Mandarin ain't in it. But he started, so they created the 10 Rings as this terrorist organization that was supposed to lead it, because the Mandarin has 10 rings. And so this was supposed to be his organization, was the 10 Rings. And so Favreau originally wanted to have that as a recurring thing that would eventually lead up to the grand revelation, and there's the Mandarin, and like he was the leader of the 10 Rings. And I don't think Marvel was down for that, because like at multiple opportunities they sort of like downplayed that and shut down. And this was one of the things one of the battles that he lost, apparently, is he wanted to have it be like the 10 Rings are involved and they're still around, they're still doing things, and they're involved in this. Nope. Like we never have the only inclination is that is by the credits.
Wow. But I mean, that's okay. Well, that's amazing. They left it in the credits though, because I guess, either that got missed or somebody was like, look, we really want to slip in that Easter egg. There's one way we can do it, because interesting. Yeah.
So, I've even seen a picture, like he actually has like a tattoo on his neck, but you can't see it at all in the footage that they used.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, it's purposely cut in a way that you wouldn't see it.
Right.
Wow.
So Ivan there obviously got the information, and it's up to you whether you want to believe this is the 10 Rings involved or not. And so he watches the guy leave, and then sort of flips it open, and he opens up, and it's a passport. Call back to the opening. Blah, blah, blah. It's like we know what we're doing. So it's a false ID with the name Boris Turgenev. Oh, Boris. Our old pal Boris is back.
I remember
it's actually a different Boris. It's not that Boris.
Oh,
because Boris the Turgenev is actually the second Crimson Dynamo. He took over after Anton Vanko.
Oh, that's awesome!
Yeah, see, so it is a Marvel, another nod, in joke connection thing to this.
And if you're missing what that is, Crimson Dynamo is a reference we did in a in between episode. Talks about some of the comic book lore.
That's right. How Anton Vanko was the original Crimson, and basically they're using a lot of the Crimson Dynamo story here. They're just sort of remixing it and then adding in Ivan, who's a new character for this with a familiar supervillain name. And so the other thing he had besides his ID is he has tickets to the Grand Prix de Monaco Historique. So it's the Grand Prix, but it's a slightly different Grand Prix. It's a historic, and we're going to talk more about that when we get to Monaco. But meanwhile, a question for you, Rob. I agree the editing choice is bad here, but I wanted to point out another little thing you might not have noticed. So This is May 2010.
Yeah.
What do you think the average temperature of Moscow is in May? So, like, this is May 12th, 2010.
Well, okay. I mean, okay.
Just average. Fahrenheit.
All right. Well, I mean, because it's Russia.
Sure, Russia.
And I know there's the equator and the vernal equinox.
Sure, vernal equinox.
And a variety of other things. and other astronomical and weather terms that I am not fully versed in. I'm going to say that it could vary, but could be anywhere from 16 to 82 degrees.
But there's snow on the ground, Rob. There's snow.
There's, you know what? There can be freak snowstorms in places in the world when there's not supposed to be.
Sure. The average temperature in Moscow in May is 66 degrees, Rob. 66.
Now listen.
It's the start of their summer.
Okay, I understand that. But now think about that.
What the hell?
No, wait, hold on. It's 66.
Are you really going to try and defend? This is bad editing.
66 during the day. You don't know what the lows are. There easily could be those lows. I know, but those lows probably, they could be in the freezing part. You don't know.
I do, though.
By the way, did you notice in the passport that his birth date is 1959? I believe that has something to do with Tales of Suspense. Didn't Tales of Suspense did I?
That's true. But this is still bad.
Are we talking about weather? Are we talking about weather still?
Editing. This is bad.
I know
this is sloppy.
It is a little bit.
Like it's not always winter in Moscow.
Is there no explanation? There's no other explanation for this.
No. Nothing. They just talk about the 10 rings thing. Like it was just part of the mess of editing. Like, you know, it was like they had this footage from then, they shot there, and then they stuck it in the middle of this thing.
This wasn't shot in Moscow though.
No, this was shot in California.
So they actually had to put snow down.
They had to put snow down. Yeah.
Something changed. I don't know.
Something changed, exactly.
Something changed.
Once again, this is the editing issues. Yeah. I'm
okay with it. That's okay.
It's always snowing in Moscow.
It's always snowing
in Soviet Russia. So as Ivan is looking over his newly acquired documents, we hear the sound of drums.
Yeah.
No, different sound of drums. And that's when our minute comes to an end.
That's it.
That's
why we have some of our segues into other topics, because this is just we're moving the chess pieces here in this part. Yep. This is all got to get connected.
That's right. Yeah, this is the ugly but necessary stuff to go.
I don't know what I think about the snow. You have that. See, I have the fact that it's the same shot. I don't like that.
Well, all I can think of is that this originally happened way back then, and they thought, oh, people are going to forget. Like, they're going to forget that he's supposed to be at the race in Monaco, because, like, we're very close to Monaco at this point. You know, like that. So if they had put it chronologically where it should happen, which would have been much, much earlier, like probably during the montage, during the opening title sequence. I mean, like that way back then when it was actually winter.
Well, no, see, okay, then that explains it. The reason why is because, again, it's shot on the same day. They already had the set. The set was dressed for this.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
well, that's.
I understand why, but it's still really sloppy.
Well,
sorry, Jon Favreau.
I don't know. Making movies
this is really clunky.
You understand that making movies is expensive.
Yes.
And to say that you're going to clear the set here of the snow or whatever this is,
you know what else is really expensive?
What?
Underestimating the intelligence of your audience. No one's going to notice this.
Fine. All right, fine.
All right, but if you have your own theories as to why this is, if you want to win a no prize, you can do so over on Discord.
Yeah.
Yes, we have a very own Discord, and we even have our very own Marvel Movie Minute channel that you can hop in there and be like, actually, there is at one point there was snow recorded in May in Moscow. I think if you look at
who is that guy? I want to talk to you. Oh, no, wait, you were making fun.
I was. No one likes you. Actually, guys.
Please go on Discord. Bring your dissonance.
That's right.
And your other discordance, and do it with us so that
that's right. And best of all, it's free.
Yay.
nextduo.com/discord. Click the link, join the family. So make sure to join us back here for minute 24, because in a beautiful cut, we're going to go to a whole new scene and meet a very, very important character to the MCU. You do not want to miss it. Enough said.
Bye.